My queer awakening. Whew, how much time we got?
Did I have an awakening?
I have queer awakenings every day.
Everyone always knew ever since I was a child that I was queer. What type of queer, we didn't know, but we knew it was something.
I tried very hard to pray away the gay, and what's the line? That don't fly.
I don't have a coming out story. I liked a girl and then I told everybody about it.
It was over and over and over again, hitting my head against a wall, trying to be something else and it not working.
I'd say media during like 06, 07 in middle school really affected my queer awakening.
Sophia Bush kissing Brittany Snow in John Tucker Must Die. And I remember being like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is making me feel things I didn't totally understand.
I remember seeing I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I think everybody who's exactly my age, 35 years old, will say this. Ryan Phillippe in the locker room of that movie, I think he's wearing maybe a chain of some kind and a towel.
Ryan Phillippe's, I mean, truly that was the most important butt of all time, I think, at least in my own personal life.
From then on, like all the porn in my life would also look like that too. So I guess that was the jumping off point.
The Britney Spears Oops, I Did It Again album cover. It was those beads. It was like her behind mysteriously the beads. It's the mystery of it all. The colors were right.
My first real exposure to queer things was actually trash reality TV. Like Double Shot of Love, Next, Parental Control. Like I was finally able to see queer people on TV and they were in entertainment and that was what I wanted to do. So I was like, I have to find my people.
As a child, I used to sneak and watch Logo. And I used to sneak and watch RuPaul's Drag Race and Noah's Ark and all these things, right? This was very much so a part of like me seeing other people in front of me on a TV screen and being like, oh, I kind of see myself here.
When I was younger, I wasn't attracted to one gender. I liked boys and girls, and I didn't know terms or anything about sexualities or gender expression at the time, so to me that was just the norm. And at some point in time, I realized that I stopped liking girls and I only liked guys, so I came out to my family as gay. And then turning 12, I came out as trans to my family and then to everyone else. And over quarantine, I came out as pan to my family. I was not like raised to like one specific gender, so kind of just felt what I felt.
I walked up to my parents when I was 4 years old, and I figured this happens all the time. I was like, something, got filed incorrectly upstairs. Like, I'm sure this is no big problem. It's just like an administrative issue. And I asked my parents, so when do I get to be a girl? I think I just like assumed, I guess, that medical science had come so far. That I was like, I'm sure they must have a logical answer for this, what I'm feeling, right? And they did, so I guess like, go science.
I feel like there are a few. There's second grade-ish t-ball practice when my teacher like leaned down and I saw her cleavage and I was like, oh my God. And then it was falling in love with all of my friends in high school. I was that person who always knew but also had no idea. I dated so many men, and then in my early 20s, I finally was like, I'm gonna kiss a girl this summer. I don't know what, I'm just gonna do that. Did more than kissing, and I've been fully gay ever since.
My own queer awakening was like a glacier, like a slow moving glacier.
I would say it was like, just like little whispers from the universe over the years, rather than like one big aha Kaiser Sose reveal.
At age 11, I learned the word lesbian, and I did the math. And I said, well, if I'm attracted to girls, and I am a girl, therefore I must be a lesbian. And I made a decision that I would grow up to be a physicist and a lesbian. It took me 15 years to become a physicist and 35 years to become a lesbian.
I put my poor partner through hell because I kept saying, I'm straight, and I don't think this is gonna work out. But time went on and I realized I really was in love with her and wanted to be with her for the rest of my life. So I just said, oh well, what the hell.
I remember having this thought when I was about 7 or 8 years old. I was walking to the bathroom, I had on these like massively impressive to my 7-year-old self parachute pants. You couldn't tell me anything that day because I just knew I looked good. And I was going to the bathroom and I was like, okay, I guess I should go to the girls' bathroom, but am I a girl? I don't know. And I remember having the thought of, you know, the world tells me that I'm a girl, but I know that I'm not quite. And so I don't know what that means, but I know that for myself, I'll just be true to me, and then the world can call me whatever they want to.
I think my, full awakening and stepping into truly who I am came from a conversation with my grandmother right before she passed away. And she said to me, "You're not just gay, right?" And I looked at her and I said, "Well, no, but what do you think I am?" And she literally looked at me and said, "Well, you never were really a boy, but you never were really a girl, but you always just sat somewhere in between. And I don't know what they call that, but whatever they call that, that's what you are." And it was right after that I announced that I was non-binary and changed my pronouns to they, them. Because I think even in her final days, she still knew that I needed to hear that.
My grandmother was a church-going woman, and if you know anything about like black churches, it's a fashion show. So my grandmother had sequin dresses, hats that defied architecture, amazing heels, and whenever we was over her house, if I wasn't tending to the plants or in her garden, I was in her closet, playing around. And so there was this one particular day, and the family was over. They were all gathered downstairs. I was up in her closet just playing around. I put on a pair of my favorite heels that she owned. I put on a little hat, and I strutted downstairs. And as I was coming down the stairs, everyone grew really quiet. And then my grandmother was like, "Oh my goodness, isn't that precious? Come on over here, baby." And kind of just saw me exploring who I was and like embraced that moment and made sure that everyone in the room knew that that was okay and that they better let me do that. And so I feel like that was a real defining moment for me that I could really, reimagine who I wanted to be and how I wanted to show up.
I mean, I knew from the time that I was 7 firmly that I was trans. I had different ways to try to respond to what I always knew to be true, but the truth never changed. And that's actually when we know that we're onto something as human beings, when the fundamental part of who we are is kind of unwavering.